Hi, I'm Daniel Gold, and welcome to the Gold Standard Leadership Lab. By day, I'm a partner at a leading advisory firm where I draw upon my background as an attorney to help my clients succeed. This podcast, though, is my personal project, completely separate and apart from my day job, but reflect the same passion that I exhibit everywhere for teaching, mentoring, and helping others succeed through simple, impactful lessons. It is my hope that you'll walk away with practical takeaways to help you on your leadership journey. Thanks for being a part of this community and for joining me in the Leadership Lab. Let's get started. There is a recurring problem that I've seen time and time again throughout my career. And it's an agnostic problem. It doesn't matter the type of company that I've worked for, or whether it's a software company, a professional services company, or a software and services organization. The problem that I want to talk to all of you about today is the reorganization and stall problem. How many times in your career have you walked out of a reorganization announcement and thought to yourself, okay, but what just actually happened? You sat through the all hands call, you saw the new org chart, you heard the words about alignment and collaboration and working together as one team. And then when you went back to the desk and realized that nothing about your day-to-day had actually just changed. If that sounds familiar, you've experienced what I call the incentive problem. And that is, leadership says one thing, but the goal structure rewards something completely different. And when that happens, people don't follow the words on the slide, they follow the incentives every single time. The specifics of how this has played out varies depending upon whether it's a software-only company or the organization size, but I tell you, the dysfunction is identical. And I want to give you 3 examples of how this plays out. The first one is the sales goal problem. This is a classic pattern that you may have seen or personally experienced when professionals are measured by sales goals rather than hours, which we're going to talk about next. When the goal is X dollars in revenue allocation, and it doesn't matter where X dollars comes from, just as long as they get there, then incentives are misaligned with the company's real goal, which is continuously bringing in new clients to create a diversified portfolio. If part of the goal were current clients and a larger piece were net new clients, well, that should drive business development. People would be out networking, prospecting, and closing, but without that distinction, here's what may actually happen. The professional has already met their sales goal by retaining 2 or 3 legacy clients. So in reality, why would they chase any new business? They've already met their sales goal by sitting on 1, 2, or 3 legacy clients. For them, why would they go out and chase it? Why would they invest time and energy into prospecting when they could just maintain the installed base because they've already hit their number? If the goal can be achieved with less risk and less effort, that's the path they're going to take. Now, I'm not saying that's right, of course, but that's what they may do. So this creates a situation where you're paying professionals who should be driving growth, they're sitting still. And as a result, revenue may stagnate. The client base ages, you lose market share. And when one of those legacy clients finally leaves, and it's happened to me, you're in crisis mode because there's no pipeline to replace them. If new logos matter, they need to be measured and rewarded separately. You cannot expect people to pursue new business when their goals can be fully satisfied by maintaining the status quo. The incentive has to be explicit. Okay, use case number 2. This is called the utilization trap. Now, here you've got 2 professionals in the same role. Now, the first professional, we'll call this person professional A, is highly efficient. They figured out a better workflow, a better tool, a better process. Heck, they even innovated. And they deliver the same quality work in significantly less time. Now, the second professional, we'll call them professional B, grinds through the workday the old way, or may not be as proficient or efficient as the professional A, and bills twice as many hours. Now, at the end of the year, who gets the bonus and promotion? Well, in some organizations, it has been professional B. Why? Because they're measured on utilization, and the company celebrates hours billed, which only reinforces a cultural issue. The company rewards the number and not the substance. So professional A may, in some companies, get dinged for their underperformance. Their utilization is too low. The company says they're hardworking, and maybe you'll get that raise and promotion next year if you just bill some more hours. Now, if it continues this way, highly efficient, very proficient, innovates, but bills less hours, well, maybe what happens is we quietly walk them out of the organization. The problem is that what happens, we're getting rid of the exact person we should have been celebrating. But this is a self-inflicted wound. When leadership says we value efficiency but measure raw hours, okay, so remember that raw hours, people are going to act rationally by slowing down. It's no different than the sales rep. The slower that this person goes, the more hours they bill, the better they perform on paper. But here's the problem. Clients notice this. They see the invoice. They see the hours climbing. They know when inefficiency is being billed. And every time that happens, trust erodes. They start questioning whether you're working in their best interest or maximizing billable hours. That continues until they decide to cancel the contract, which may potentially impact our first professional who has a sales goal with a legacy client. But if efficiency and substance really truly matter, which it should, then we need to measure those very particular things. Now, that might mean tracking project margin instead of raw hours. Okay, so tracking project margin. It might mean evaluating professionals based on client satisfaction and problem-solving effectiveness rather than utilization percentages. But most of all, this requires admitting that we've been measuring and rewarding the wrong behaviors. Okay, so let's talk about the third use case. This is what I call the collaboration paradox. So look, every organization that I've ever been a part of, and you've probably been a part of as well, says that they want collaboration amongst its team members. Now, I've seen organization all hands calls include some sort of slide about working together and a great visual of breaking down silos. And everyone, we are all one team. But yet the problem is that collaboration, I don't understand, has always remained elusive. But let's break this down because there's a very specific reason for this. Okay, so why? Well, because individual incentives are misaligned with collaborative behavior. How is that possible? Well, let's walk through this. If each person's goals are entirely individual, okay, so think about this, my origination, my utilization, my client portfolio, there's no structural reason to collaborate. Collaboration takes time. It might mean sharing credit. It might mean splitting revenue. And if none of that helps me hit my personal goal, then why would I do it? So what happens? Well, leadership gets frustrated, right? We know this. They show another deck. They talk about more values, more silos getting crushed and eliminated. We're all one team. Yet nothing changes. Why? Words do not change behavior. Monetary incentives do. People will not naturally seek to collaborate simply because of a polished deck on an all hands call. They act rationally to meet their goals. It does make sense. Hoping that there's enough money to provide them with a bonus, a raise, or promotion. I get it. Until the firm behaviorally incentivizes professionals differently, people aren't going to act any differently. And again, this doesn't matter what kind of organization it is. It could be a software company, a software and services company, or just a services company. If collaboration matters, and it should, the expression, and it's an old one, holds true. Companies need to measure what matters and reward it accordingly. Now, that might mean joint goals for cross-functional teams. It might mean attributing revenue to multiple contributors. It might mean evaluating professionals based on how well they enable others to succeed and not just on individual output. Okay, so I have a 3-question goal audit for all of you. If you're wondering whether your goals are driving the right behaviors, here is a simple 3-question audit for all of you. So, question number 1, what behavior does this goal actually incentivize? Not what you hope it will incentivize. What does it actually reward when people act rationally in their own self-interest? Right? If the goal is utilization, it incentivizes hours billed rather than efficiency. If the goal is revenue with no distinction between installed base and new logos, it incentivizes maintaining the status quo. What I encourage all of you to do is be brutally honest about what behavior you're actually rewarding. Is that behavior we need to achieve our stated purpose and values? So that's question 2. Is that the behavior we need to achieve our stated purpose and values? This is the alignment question, right? If your core values say you prioritize efficiency and collaboration, but your goals reward hours and individual contribution achievement, you've got a mismatch. So if the question to this is no, you've identified the actual core problem. All right, question number 3. What would we need to change about the goal structure to align incentives with the desired outcomes? Okay, what would we need to change about the goal structure to align incentives with desired outcomes? So whatever the change is, it's going to feel uncomfortable, right? People who have thrived under the old system, right? Coasting perhaps, or billing too many hours, or taking their time so they rack up utilization, not collaborating, all of those things. They might struggle with this new one. That's okay though. If the old system was producing the wrong behaviors, you're making a very deliberate choice, a good choice, about what matters most. Okay, so once you've answered those 3 questions, and let's say you've gone ahead and implemented, the next thing to do is have a monthly check-in framework. Now, most organizations set goals in January and don't revisit them until December. If you are an avid listener of the Gold Standard Leadership Lab, you know that is something that I definitely do not advocate. Why? Because for 11 months, those goals sit in an HR system ignored, and by December, it's too late and good people may have already left. If goals matter, and they should, and they do in my opinion, monitor them monthly and then quarterly. And if you do this right, once a month, answer 3 questions for yourself. The first one is this: are we tracking progress toward the goals we set, or are we just reacting to whatever fires pop up? Question number 2, are you clear on what success looks like this month, this quarter, or are you just guessing? Question 3, are we rewarding the right behaviors as they happen or waiting until December to figure out who deserves recognition? I love quarterly reviews because they really do help on understanding where you can course correct. Circumstances do change, priorities do shift, this happens. And a goal that made sense in January may not make sense in April, depending upon what's happening at your organization. And that's okay. It's okay to ask whether this goal is still the right one and whether we need to reallocate time, resources, or focus. Monthly and quarterly check-ins aren't about micromanagement. They're proof that the goals really do matter, and they build this trust, and they show people that leadership care about the goals throughout the year, not just at the beginning and not just at the end. People rationally act in their best interests to meet their goals. It just makes sense. If you want different behaviors, though, it just makes sense that you need different goals. This isn't complicated. It's just really, really hard. It requires admitting that you've been rewarding the wrong behaviors, and it requires changing systems and incentives. It is a lot of hard work. But the good news, look, this is a fixable problem. It does require introspection. It requires hard work. And it requires leaders who are willing to align their actions with their words. And so here's my challenge to all of you. Run the 3-question goal audit with your team. Be honest about what behaviors your current goals actually incentivize, and identify where there is any misalignment, and then please commit to fixing it. The question really becomes, are you willing to do all the hard work? But above all else, remember, leadership isn't about perfection. It is about progress. So take this lesson, put it into action, and continue setting the gold standard in your own life and at work. See you all next time.